So
TLDR,
yeah.
2.5 hour. Only 30 minutes of this around there is actually worth watching.
So
So
is the right interview the Oompaville or
Oompaville, yeah,
okay.
yeah, 2 hours and 37-minute interview
Of nothing.
um, of almost nothing, and I'll explain the reason why it's almost nothing. DogPack, the dude who called Mr. Beast out for
Yeah.
all like everything from faking his videos to harboring pedophiles in his company,
Yeah.
um, all of it was fake and disproven before this interview came out for the most part.
So I purposely didn't watch Dogpack stuff because it kind of
Okay.
felt that way. Even though I know people are
Yeah.
like, oh, Mr. Beast, he's done, he's cooked, and it's like it was some pretty bad evidence
Oh, he's
against
still
him.
cooked.
He's still
He's
cooked,
still
but not
cooked.
in like Dogpack sense, right? Like of his
DogPack,
allegations.
if you actually watch any of DogPack's videos, which I mean you shouldn't at this point,
Yeah.
but every point the DogPack makes is falsified to such an extent that it makes literally no sense to even follow them, and most of them are not even the major allegations that are actually levied at Mr. Beast. All it did was take away from the major allegations. I think the only thing that DogPack actually brought to light was two things.
Hmm.
Delaware, who was a hired sexual predator that ended up in the Mr. Beast company,
Yeah.
which was cleared up in this interview as to how that even happened, and Lakoya Hill, who was also a sexual predator hired within the company. This was not cleared up in the interview. They don't talk about it in the interview at all, actually.
Hmm. So that's the only one
Um,
that's kind of like still kind of
yeah.
there.
Well, that and Chris Tyson. They didn't mention Chris Tyson
Oh
or any of
yeah.
the Chris Tyson whatsoever. Except at the very end when they started talking about like a poster and like Shadman and all this shit.
Mm.
Um, there's also crypto scam allegations getting thrown at Mr. Beast right now.
Is that with the
In this
Dogpack stuff, or is
interview,
this just for this interview?
no, completely different.
Okay, okay, okay. Crypto stuff. All
Yeah.
right, I haven't heard about that, but go ahead.
Yeah, CoffeeZilla did an investigation into it. In this interview, anytime it was brought up, Mr. Beast is very clearly uneasy, and he gets defensive at the end about it
Okay.
because turns out he might have scammed for $2 million.
Is it wait? Is this by accident, or it's just like
It
he
was
was
like a
like,
charity fund thing,
uh-huh.
so
Yo,
I doubt that it was for accident.
he did the quote unquote crypto scam, but did he know it was a scam? And like, was it like, was that what he was trying to do? Say, hey, I'm gonna scam my audience today, or was it like kind of
Well,
like an accident?
so it was originally going to be a charity thing where they sell these NFTs off for like a charity and stuff like that. None of the NFTs sold. I think there was like 70,000
Uh huh.
dollars in sales for the NFTs. The issue was after like 2 months of inactivity, he pulled out $2 million from this like thing,
Mm-hmm.
and there is kind of evidence to suggest that it might have been a scam. We do not know yet, but based on the way he was talking about it in this interview, he doesn't want people to know what was going on. At least that's the vibe that I got because he was really defensive about it
The thing,
and he was not answering properly.
I need to see it, but what I will say is it could be a scam, or he could just be really embarrassed that maybe his coin
It's
that
the
he thought, or his NFT or whatever he's trying to do would do better than it did.
it's the last 20 minutes of that interview if you want to watch that part.
Okay.
The only other like he cleared all of the shit Dogpack threw at him,
Mm-hmm.
everything, which was already easy because it was already cleared before this interview by everyone else because everyone found out Dogpack lied about just about everything he said
When did they
ever,
find that out? Because
like a
I
month ago.
okay, so it's pretty recent. Because I was still under the notion that Dogpack he's still
No,
like held like the biggest hit piece on Mr. Beast.
like
I remember the initial reception to Dogpack's videos is people they pretty much believed him,
oh
Dogpack,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then he
we
was getting
we
like a
believe
lot of
him.
press. Everyone was getting tweets, but then I guess somewhere in the midst of that, when he was like coming out, but like his second one, they could kind of see like his stories were like not true or fabricated.
One of the other claims that he made that I I have to call bullshit on for Mr. Beast was he was saying that He basically went on record saying that there has never been any child exploitation within Feastables. They're working as hard as they can to make sure that there's no child exploitation, stuff like that. And he said Peru, the country where his Feastables chocolate bar comes from,
Hmm.
has no child exploitation, and that kind of set me off because I made a video 2 months ago talking about this, and Peru is one of the worst countries for child exploitation.
Oh wait,
So
he I think he used that example in the sense that with that being its most like the highest child labor, usage. He's saying even in Peru, Mr. Beast bars still do not have, child exploitation. Maybe he was saying that.
perhaps, but there's a lot of other evidence against what he
Hmm.
is saying.
Yeah.
And to call it disinformation is bad, like really, really bad for him because he's trying to use a lot of legal words to
Hmm.
kind of scare people. What this claim stemmed from to begin with is for about a year now, since 2022 up until now, there has been a missing link on Feastables that
Hmm.
used to say we are slave labor and child labor free. That has been missing from the website for almost a year,
Did
up
they
until
did they did
now.
they actually go with that? They were saying that in their packaging.
No, they didn't have it on their packaging. They had it on their website.
They did.
Yeah, they had it on their website from April 14th, 2023, up until October of 2023. And the reason why they had that on their website was because they were working with a Peru based chocolate factory called, what is it? It's Machu Picchu Foods,
Uh huh.
which is slave and child labor free. But they broke off that partnership somewhere within 2023, and they never put out a disclaimer or anything like that to show that. They didn't talk about this at all, actually, and they're trying to use the fact that they're now partnered with a company called Tony's Chocolonely
Hmm.
to say that they were never using slave labor and child labor. It wasn't until September of this year that they said that they were partnering with Tony Chocolonely, an entire month after the allegations came out. But they never disclosed that, and the slave labor, child labor free stuff was already missing from their website beforehand.
That I think maybe there was some legal stuff in the background happening. Like, yeah, they maybe could have announced it sooner, but maybe they're working stuff out. Cause it was only a month time period turnaround. Like, I'm not even trying to defend Mr. Beast on everything, but like I'm just saying, like realistically, I don't think they had any child labor, and like if that was the case, they were working with like that type of company. They did cut ties with them, but then they didn't announce it frame one. They just announced it when they were ready to like you know move on with like the new
Well,
company.
we have a missing link is basically what's happening
Yeah,
here
it,
because
it's
Machu
it's
Picchu
weird.
is slave labor free. Tony's Chocolonely is slave labor free, but there's
Hmm.
an entire year in between that where Feastables may have not been slave labor free. Because
Yeah.
apparently the only reason you have to take off slave labor and child labor free is if your chocolate does not meet those expectations.
Hmm.
It,
Unfortunately, child labor is a norm
at
for chocolate
most,
production. Yeah, I'm not saying
oh
it's like
yeah,
yeah, it's
80%.
definitely is, but I'm like I don't think Mr. Beast did that, and if there was some
I
type of
don't think
like
he willingly did it. What I think probably happened, and why
oh
I'm
I can do that.
saying him calling this disinformation is like really bad, is that there was some stuff going on in the background that they could not disclose that made it so where they can't use the child and slave labor free stuff. And this is giving him the benefit of the doubt because, in my opinion, the chocolate had to come from somewhere. And he can't just go and say we were never using slave labor if there was slave labor involved or
Uh
child
huh.
labor involved somewhere within there. But at worst, what this is misinformation that was born from their own inability to tell anyone what was
Yeah,
going
I
on.
think
And the fact that Mr. Beast is still running on this whole calling it disinformation, and in the interview he straight up does say if you have one of these videos up you need to delete it, which I think is crazy for him to say. If it's not true that he didn't use child exploitation in some form, then it's full on misinformation from his own company due to just not being able to fucking tell anyone and still not telling anyone what happened between that time.
yeah, it's coming from I think yeah the most of the confusion that's coming from their own team, their own inside, because they could be straightforward, but like stuff like this, if you're not, basically ahead of the jump or ahead of the curve, you don't have stuff like this because there could have been an instance where out of the 365 days in the year, Mr. Beast's company is always running with festivals, making chocolate. There could have been a handful of children that did work in his factory. That doesn't mean Mr. Beast put them there, handpicked them. Yeah, you work in my factory, no, no, no. But like, there probably was, but like, was it on purpose? No. If it happens, that's where Mr. Beast would have to, talk to like the people who run that company, that
Yeah.
factory, and say, hey, we don't like this. We'll part ways if that happens. But
Yeah.
I think it's
Because
bad
like
timing and
even
just bad like they weren't being proactive. Yeah.
in my opinion, he probably did have some form of child exploitation going on within the company or within Feastables because he's not actually the head
Yeah,
of
yeah, he's
Feastables.
not there.
He's
Yeah.
just the face. He has a CEO that runs this whole thing, and Machu Picchu Foods, the company they were working with in 2023 before October, was not able to produce as much Feastables as they are now. So they had to kind of expand, and that means that they needed to get a better source of
Yeah.
chocolate and like an actual factory that could produce this shit way easier. And there's a lot of chocolate companies that can do that for them, but not all of them are slave free. So they probably just went with the easiest one and they couldn't use a slave free label up until now because now they're partnered with Tony's Chocolonely.
Hmm. Okay, well, why does Mr. Beast think he needs to lead with being non-child exploitation? Like you don't have child labor, making your
Philanthropy.
chocolate. Because I don't think any other major company has to necessarily disclose their child labor free. Now, could they're probably not, but like if they were, does that have to be like why is Mr. Beast now carrying the burden that now he has to make sure he has labeling that I'm child labor free when a lot of people else don't have to.
Charity and philanthropy because he does have a second channel that is called Beast Philanthropy, and it would be extremely hypocritical for him to go to impoverished countries and all this and be like, look at all the good we're doing. Here's what we're doing to fix this. We built 100 balls here to then
Mhm.
turn around and his chocolate company has a bunch of child slaves working it.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna read this message. It doesn't help Mr. Beast that he was on my university campus today and giving out candy from a van in an alley behind the library. I wish I were joking, but he did this today. Now, this is
That's
Twitch chat.
crazy.
This is Twitch chat. Anything goes. So I'm kind of inclined to believe you because you said you weren't joking. But did that actually happen? Like, ain't no way.
That during
Oh,
this
you're
like
you're actually.
time period where he had to switch factories, there was probably a point in time where he switched to a company that did not meet those requirements
Uh huh.
because Mr. Beast doesn't have his own like chocolate farms and shit like that. He has to outsource. And the vast
Definitely.
majority of chocolate like farms and factories do not meet the child labor requirements.
Definitely not. Yeah.
So if he was just a little more honest about that, I wouldn't have a problem. But it's the fact that I had to do an hour and a half of like digging and research to see if he was even telling the truth about this is
Hmm.
insane. The Chris Tyson stuff was bad, still bad. I looked at all the Discord leaks, all the DMs, everything. Mr. Beast is and was in those chats.
Hmm.
So it's a little like, what are you doing? What do you mean you didn't know about Chris Tyson being a groomer? Like there's a
Hmm.
lot we can get Mr. Beast for. Not a lot that was brought up by DogPack though.
Yeah, there's like actual stuff to be talked about, not whatever
Yeah.
DogPack. That's why I didn't even watch the DogPack video. I just saw people talking about it. I was like, because I mean, since there was no other side to combat DogPack, that was the only story we had. So I'm like, is that really what we're gonna do now? Like, I'm pretty sure we've all learned that we can't just take one side. We have to hear
Yeah.
both.
I have no idea what DogPack was thinking when coming out with this and
I mean, clout mainly.
clout, yeah, probably. I mean, he got literally everywhere. He was on Oompaville's show. He was talking to like all the big YouTubers.
Yeah, he was getting like interviewed on like big streamer and YouTube channel. Like, okay, well, hopefully that was worth it. Like, because you just spread lies. But it's still every streamer did jump, every YouTuber did jump. I don't know if you did, boy. I don't think you were 100% on DogPack, but you still covered it. But a lot of people did jump to his side and just believed him, and that's why
Oh no, yeah, I made
DogPack's word was
13
law.
videos.
Yeah, I'm not saying you
13
believe
videos on
DogPack.
Mr. Beast. I believed a couple of it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
most definitely fell for some of it. I just didn't care about the faking videos or the
Hmm.
anything like that. I was like, okay, well, that's a little petty, but sure, whatever. It wasn't until the second video came out where he was like talking to this dude who was like used by Mr. Beast, quote unquote, for a video where they were talking about how they basically tortured this dude for like a couple days.
Hmm.
And then I was like, oh, okay, well, that's fucking awful. But I was mainly trying to talk about like Chris Tyson
Uh-huh.
and the Feastable stuff is the main two things I went after. He probably just should have picked a better fucking target than Mr. Beast, dude.
I mean, it was the best target because he got the most, out of it, but it's the worst target
But
because you
now
can't you
his
can't come out
like
with lies against Mr. B. You can lie about me. I don't have like, strong lawyers. Well, I can get a lawyer, but like, I don't have like the whole legal and company backing, to take you down.
if you're gonna slander someone, do not slander the biggest YouTuber on the
Yeah.
platform who's ever
Or at least
existed.
be right. Be right. Be correct at
Yeah,
least.
seriously. Like only target the
Okay.
things that you know you can get them on.
Well, I'm
Hit
gonna
me up
yeah.
if you have any more questions because I'm very, very well versed.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I was like, I saw something like it's interesting. I don't think anything. I don't think anything will change for real. But his name is cleared at least on the Dogpack side, and like he's still gonna do his thing. He was still doing his thing regardless of this. So, you know,
Yeah.
nothing's really gonna change. But there'll be more content about this, I guess.
Just about expect a
Yeah,
14th Mr. Beast video.
for
I've already
real.
got it
Yeah,
done. All right, later, dude.
I appreciate it. Ooh, bye. Can't put down the cup. Can't put down the cup. He can't put down the cup.